The rain had been falling since morning, the kind of soft English rain that doesn't scream, but quietly seeps into your bones. Daniel stood under the broken bus shelter at the edge of Rosewood Estate, his thin jacket already soaked through. In one hand, he held a small brown envelope. In the other, his shattered hope. He was 22. Poor. Invisible. And hopelessly in love. Across the wide road stood the Whitmore mansion, tall iron gates, trimmed hedges, glowing windows. A world that was never meant for a boy like him. And inside that world lived Emily Whitmore. Daniel first saw her 3 years ago, the day his mother collapsed outside the Whitmore bakery where he worked delivery shifts. Emily had rushed out, her cream dress brushing the wet pavement as she knelt beside his mother without hesitation. While others watched from a distance, she held his mother's trembling hands and whispered, "It's going to be okay." From that moment on, Daniel's life was no longer his own. Emily was everything he wasn't allowed to dream of. Rich. Educated. Graceful. Kind in a way that felt illegal in a world like his. She came from a family whose name was printed on buildings. He came from a council flat where the ceiling leaked and dreams died quietly. Yet destiny has a cruel sense of humor. After his mother was taken to the hospital, Daniel returned the next day with a basket of oranges as thanks. Emily answered the door herself. "You don't have to do this," she smiled. He couldn't look into her eyes for more than a second. From that day onward, small encounters became habit. She would accidentally come to the bakery. He would just happen to be delivering near her house. They spoke of little things first, bread, weather, books. Then slowly, dangerously, of themselves. Emily felt trapped in silk walls. Daniel felt crushed under invisible ceilings. One evening, when the sky burned pink over the estate, Emily said quietly, "Do you ever feel like your life was decided before you were born?" Daniel nodded. Every day. That was the moment he fell in love for real. Months passed. Their meetings turned into stolen time. At bus stops. In quiet parks. Outside hospital wards. They never held hands in public, only in silence where no one could see. But love doesn't stay hidden forever. One night, as snow fell like torn paper from the sky, Emily whispered with tears in her eyes. "My parents want me to marry Richard Hawthorne." Daniel felt something die inside him. Richard Hawthorne. He knew that name. A businessman. 32. Powerful. Perfect on paper. "I told them I love someone else," she cried. Daniel stared at his trembling hands. "And what did they say?" "They laughed." Emily began to change after that. Her smile grew tired. Her messages took longer to reply. Her eyes always watched for someone else. Then one evening, she arrived at their usual bench with red eyes and shaking hands. "They're sending me to London," she whispered. "Tomorrow." Daniel's world collapsed without sound. "Just for studies?" he asked, lying to himself. She shook her head. "To prepare me for marriage." He wanted to beg her to run away. To choose love. To choose him. But poverty teaches you to stay quiet when the rich decide your fate. They promised to write. London swallowed her. At first, letters came weekly. Then monthly. Then barely at all. Daniel waited after every shift by the rusted mailbox like a forgotten child. Sometimes it was empty. Sometimes it carried words that felt distant, polite, colder. One night he received a letter that simply read, "My parents found out about us. Please don't write back for a while." That wall turned into silence. Days bled into weeks. Weeks into a year. Daniel stopped dreaming. Then, one evening, a black car drove slowly past the bakery, and stopped. Emily stepped out. She looked older. Structured. Polished. Her eyes still found him instantly. They stood face to face after a year of silence. "I'm engaged," she said. Daniel didn't ask to whom. I tried, she whispered. I fought. I really did. He nodded. I know. She placed something into his hand, a small folded letter. Read this. Not here. Please. Then she turned and walked back into the black car without looking back. That letter was the same one he held today under the rain. He hadn't opened it. Not yet. Because some truths are so heavy, you wait before lifting them. Daniel stood across from the Whitmore mansion now. The wedding lights were glowing inside. Music floated faintly through the iron gates like a cruel celebration of everything he had lost. His phone vibrated. One new message. Unknown number. Don't come inside. Just read the letter. His hands trembled as he slowly opened the envelope at last. Only 4 lines were written. Daniel. I am marrying him tonight. Not because I stopped loving you. But because love was never enough. The rain finally broke him. He didn't cry loudly. Just quietly, the way poor people always do when the world takes something they can't replace. Inside the mansion, Emily Whitmore was walking toward an altar she never chose. And outside the gate, Daniel fell in love for the last time. Because some love stories don't end in goodbye. They end in silence.